which is currently in beta, but by the time you're watching this, it may be in public beta stages, so I will have information on how to potentially get that down in the description below. All right, so the first thing you want to do is go ahead over to your iPhone or iPad and go into settings. Then you want to go to Bluetooth and just keep this menu open right here because this is where your controller is going to show up. And I'm actually going to be using a SCUF controller, but this does also work on the default DualShock 4 controller for the PS4. I know a lot of people were questioning if a SCUF controller did work, so I wanted to use that just to show you guys that it works just like a regular PS4 controller. All right, so what you want to do on your controller, whether that be Xbox or PS4, is you want to enter into pairing mode. And for PS4, that means pressing the share button and the PS button at the same time together for 3 seconds. And if you have an Xbox controller, that just means pressing and holding on the pairing or the sync button. All right, so we're going to do this on my controller real quick. So again, the share and the PS button together for 3 seconds, and you will see the top do a quick little flash. There you go. You can see that. And now let's look at our iPhone or iPad, and it should show up under devices, or other devices rather, right down here below everything else. And there you can see it right there. Just go ahead and tap on it and it should connect right away. Now, if it doesn't show up for you, try toggling off and back on Bluetooth, and then it should show up right away. All right, so there you go. You can see it says DualShock 4 wireless controller connected. And if we take a look at our controller, you can see we have a pink light on the back. All right, so now let me go into a game and show you what's next. And we're going to start with my current favorite game on the iPad, especially when using a controller, and that is Real Racing 3. And you can see down at the bottom it says game controller connected, DualShock wireless 4 controller right there. So it does also confirm that it does support controllers, and it shows that we are using one right now. All right, so if we use the D-pad on the controller, you can see it's taking us through the menus just like we were on an actual console, which is really awesome. So we're just going to go to career, press X, and it's pretty much just like the PS4, honestly. Like the controls are pretty much the exact same as you would play on the PS4. And when you get this little hand icon, that just means that you have to use the D-pad instead of the analog stick. So we're going to press OK. So you can see it's super easy to interact with the menus and everything here inside of games. And if you wanted to pick a different car, you can see we can use the analog stick in this instance right here. So we're going to go ahead and choose this. We're going to go down to race, and I'm going to show you guys how it works with racing because it's really awesome in a game like Real Racing 3. So you can see steering is so much better and so much easier now with a controller instead of relying on using, tilting your iPad or using your hands or anything like that. It's so much easier with a controller in hand. So there you go. You can see I just came in first place in that race, and I've noticed I do have an advantage over other people because using the analog stick is so much easier than tilting your iPad or using controls on the screen and things like that. So it's really nice. All right, so now let's take a look at a game like Fortnite with PS4 controller support or Xbox controller support, because I found Fortnite is also really fun to play with a controller on the iPad or even on the iPhone. So you can see on the main screen right here, you can go through the menus really quick and easy with like the L1 and L2 buttons right here. And by the way, for those asking, I am playing on the Epic quality here on my iPad Pro. So we're going to go ahead and get into a game. So I'm just going to do some Team Rumble right here. So we're just going to go ahead and matchmake and get into a match so I can show you guys how the controller works in a game like Fortnite. Now, while we're waiting on this to load, I do just want to mention to you guys that this does not work for every single game yet, especially since iOS 13 is still so new and it's still in beta. So you can't use the controller in games like PUBG, unfortunately, but support for that may be coming soon. We do also have Apple's Arcade subscription service coming out later this year as well, which should definitely introduce a lot of support for a lot of games. So you can see I'm moving around just like I would be on my console, on my PS4. So it's awesome that you can do pretty much everything. It's basically feels like I'm playing on the PS4 right now. So there you go, you get the gist of how Fortnite runs using a PS4 or Xbox controller. It's really awesome, and you definitely have an advantage over people who are just using touch controls that are playing on mobile, so it's really awesome. Now another cool thing about having native controller support is that you can play PS4 games on your iPhone or iPad while using the PS4 controller. So before you had to make another account and do some like bypass workaround, but you don't need to do that now with iOS 13. So all you need is the PS4 Remote Play application, and of course you're powered on PS4. Then you can play those PS4 games that you have on your PS4 while laying in your bed or anywhere in your house, which is just awesome. And you can use the actual controller now, whereas in the past you had to use basically just buttons that were on and controls that were on the screen. So yeah, that is now another possibility with iOS 13 and native controller support. I did also want to show you guys the PS4 controller working perfectly fine on an iPhone as well. So I have my iPhone XR here, which is also running iOS 13. So we're going to go back into settings, Bluetooth, and just like with the iPad, we're going to hold the share and PS button together for 3 seconds until we see the flash up top. And you can see our controller shows up right there. Just go ahead and tap on it and it should connect right away, no problem. And now we are ready to use. So I'm just going to go into Real Racing 3, and you can see right away it works perfectly fine just like it did on the iPad. So we're going to resume and I'll show you guys what this looks like here on the iPhone. Now, of course, the experience isn't going to be as immersive and as good as it is on that big, massive screen of the iPad, but it still is very enjoyable. But you can see here, it's pretty much the exact same as the iPad. There's no lag. There's, no kind of latency between, the controller when you press the button and when it shows up on the game and when it actually, does the action on the game. There's no lag or anything like that, which is huge. Now there is an advantage to having an iPhone over an iPad, and that advantage is the fact that you just have more games available to you. So there's gonna be more games in the App Store that are compatible with the iPhone than with the iPad. But once again, most games that support controller are gonna work for both iPhone and iPad, so it's not really that big of an advantage. So anyways, guys, there you have it. That is how you can play iOS games using the PS4 or Xbox One controller on iOS 13. It is really awesome, and it definitely works better than I expected it to. So if you guys did enjoy this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or concerns or anything at all, leave a comment down below and I will try to get back to you and do my best to answer any questions you have. And of course, make sure you guys do subscribe. I will be doing an update video to this when the final version of iOS